Well, hello, welcome to Mithral Brews. My name's Chris, and today in this video, we are going to be building a magic item, specifically a weapon, and I'm going to go through all the steps that I take to make the magic item, including building the activities. Hopefully it'll go pretty smooth, but I need to go find a magic item. So what I did is I went out onto the interwebs, risked a lot of things, looking at different things, but I didn't want to build something that was already in the D&D world, especially made from Wizards of the Coast. I wanted to build something that was unique, something that was homebrew, something that someone out there had already created, but I just wanted to bring it over to Foundry. And interestingly enough, out on the Foundry Reddit page, I was able to find this individual, and it looks like they have created a homebrew weapon for a caster that's called the Magi-Rifle, and they want to build it for the player, and they want to get it all set up, and they want some help with that. I'm not sure if they've already done that. I did reply that I had some questions here just to make sure, and said I'd make a video to help them out. It seems a good opportunity to make a video for this. So this is what we're going to do. If you go to the Foundry Reddit, you'll see this item here. It is marked as 2014 Legacy, which is a good way to indicate that that's what they're using for the Foundry right now. I am setting up in the Foundry, my main Foundry world, which is using 2024 rules, but there's nothing about this that really says that it has to be 2024 or 2014. Sorry, keep wanting to say 2034, but 2014 or 2024. So there's nothing about it that really says that that's what it has to be. And I do have a couple of 20th level casters here. I feel like this is, and the individual this DM's making it for, she is an artificer, they say. So I'm just going to use Testificer here. And we're going to make the item on Testificer, and then once we have it created, we would put it into our personal compendiums for magic items I might give to one of my future players. But let's give it a shot. So first of all, I like to use things that are already built. Looking at this, they are saying that this is a rifle. We're going to build it right here. So we have a couple different firearms. We have pistols, revolver, we have a rifle, automatic rifle, hunting rifle, shotgun that we can build, antimatter rifle, laser rifle, and then we have the regular musket and the pistol. I don't think any of these really makes a difference. I guess the hunting rifle goes pretty far. The musket, I do believe, as I remember, is 1d12. Yeah, 1d12 only goes 40 and 120. We can use any of these as our test, or as our ability. Automatic rifle, 80 to 40, 80 to 40. Let's just do the hunting rifle. That sounds about right. Or we even have shotgun. Shotgun looks like it actually has some other thing. Let's do shotgun 30, 90. I think in terms of spells, that I think for this being just a rare item, maybe a shotgun. So we'll use shotguns, right? All right, we're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna start here. We're just gonna edit this item. I'm gonna move it up here. And all we're going to do is rename it. So it's Magi Rifle. Then we're going to grab the description. Copy and paste it. We can do some editing here. So we're gonna add some headings, and I'll show you why the heading 3. I like the heading 3. Then these are bullet points with an indented section there. Then more bullet points with the bottom 2 being additional entries or additional sub bullets. All right, then this true sight lens. This is bold. Sure, this is not super necessary to make a video about all these, but like I said, you're going to go with me along the ride here for everything. So hang on there, we'll get through this part. I missed the L there. All right, and then we have firing, loading. I don't know what causes it to jump like that. It's annoying. I think it might be the module called D&D 5e. This thing that or 5e reference, quick ref, or 5e was it reference? Easy reference, yeah. D&D 5e or D&D easy reference. I did a video on that recently, or it might actually not be released till Monday, depending on when I get this out. So, all right, so we have our setup there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go under details. So it's a martial ranged. It does not have weapon mastery because they're saying it's Legacy 2014. The only thing is the test officer that does not have proficiency. So we're just going to set it to proficient, where this way it's set. You could say, well, it's because it's magical. Attuning to it will give you automatic proficiency. We're going to do attunement. It is a magically attuned. So if we close our document there, so there, we're already setting that they are attuned. So we're not worried about ammunition type right now because we're focused on the spell part of it. They really haven't said in the questions that I asked them on Reddit. I asked if this required attunement and what can it be used as a regular weapon. Outside of this, I said musket, but that was before I thought about Tasha's Cauldron having a better version, a couple different options for firearms. We're changing this to force, so it's already 2d8, and we're leaving that because we're going to add our damage type or bonus under the attack activity. So this is all set up for now. Firearm, magical, base weapon. It doesn't have a base weapon. All right, so let's talk about how to set up this first feature. So loading. The loading action, if you load, it expends a spell slot or higher to load the rifle. So you can load the rifle, and then having the light rifle loaded gives you the ability to fire off that spell level. If it's a first level spell, second level spell, a third level spell, or higher, it allows you to cast or do more damage, right? I'm gonna real quick give Test Officer a nice rest there. The thing is that you could just imply that they're doing the bonus action to do any of these items. So I'm going to use a bonus action to do a spell conduit. Well, this is already, there's nothing here to really set up in Foundry. You just add an extra 30 feet to the distance of the spell. You just increase the range if it's a ranged spell. So if it's a touch spell, you just give it 30 feet. There's nothing in Foundry you have to do. If you are using modules that automate some of that stuff, then that might make sense and you might have to make some changes. I just don't see why spending the time setting anything like that up. If there's a module that requires that, then I guess I question whether that module needs to be used or that feature within that module needs to be used. My philosophy is, if you were playing pen and paper, would you have something that identifies that it has a longer range, or just would you tell the DM it has a longer range? And if you did that, you would probably just see the same thing here. You see everything nicely displayed because we did change some of the formatting, and everything was there. So the DM could, if you needed to remind the DM what it could do, or you, the player, needs to be reminded, when you use the item, it will show up here, and you can just see that, or you can read it by clicking this little box next to the item. Your other option is you can hover over it, hit the middle mouse button, and then scroll through it. And it's, again, if you formatted it nicely, everything's well explained right here. So we don't need to set up the usage or this bonus action, because we're going to set up everything just to use the spell slots right from the activity. So you have a first level spell slot, you have a second level spell slot activity, and you have a third level and above spell slot activity. Then you also have a activity that's True Sight Lens, which uses up its own. I guess what you would say, it's got its own use that replenishes on short or long rests. So let's actually do that one real quick, because that one's really easy. We're going to do a use. We're going to do True Sight Lens. We're going to activate that as a bonus action. We're going to consume an activity use, and we're going to say this activity has one use, and it replenishes on a short rest. It will auto replenish on a long rest also. It is only applied to self. They would have a range of 60 feet with this True Sight. And the effect, we're just going to use this here. We're going to call it True Sight Lens. The duration is for 1 minute, so 60 seconds. And that is all you need to do. You cannot set up if you wanted to, you were trying to set up an effect that applied True Sight to the actor sheet and change things on the actor sheet here and give it a sense to True Sight. You cannot do that. You just have to have it here if you wanted to. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. If you wanted to, you could go under the description, and you could make an update to the description down here. Let's say we need to put in a advice, Foundry note. True Sight Lens needs to be set up manually on the actor sheet and token. So it means you have to go to the actor sheet, you would have to add True Sight, and then go on to token and add the True Sight capabilities. Again, I don't think this needs to really be applied. I think between the player and the DM, they can say, well, the DM can say, you see this creature that's invisible, and you can keep the token invisible, but tell the player that they can see a token or a creature within a certain distance, right? Or it's got to be within 60 feet, right? So I would just set this up and leave that, and that would be my note. The activities, so that's how True Sight Lens is set up. It then, if you look at it has an activity, so if I use it, and then I can apply it to the actor. So let me make sure I have the actor down here. Test officer. And then I apply it to them. And it right here tells you I'm using two modules. I'm using the module Visual Active Effects so that I can see the effect up here. I'm doing that because I don't need to, but I like to be able to see the effects as I'm setting these up. Up here, it's easier to ensure that everything's acting correctly. And then I have times up, which you'll see it has a little timer there that keeps track of how many rounds and stuff have gone by since I applied that. So if you're using a module like Small Time or some kind of calendar module that kept track of time, then it would keep track of this outside of combat. Let's see. All right, so that's the True Sight lens. So we're not going to set up this bonus action. We're just going to jump into creating these essentially 3 actions or 3 attacks. And really you don't even need 3 attacks. You need 2 attacks. So we're just going to take the main attack here and we're going to call it Spell Shot. And then it's really doesn't matter. It's levels 1, first and second level. It's using first and second levels spell slots. It's a ranged. It's a spell. We're going to change the attack classification to spell. We're going to take the activation. We're fine with the action. We're going to consume. And what we're going to consume is we're going to do item uses. It's using, or not item uses. We're going to do spell slots. It can use first or second level spell slots. So we're going to start it first. We're going to say we can scale it up. And we're going to have 2 scale levels. And then we're going to say slot level here. So it's going to either choose first level or second level to consume. Targeting, we don't need to worry about that. And then it's using the spell casting by default. We're going to choose it spell casting, basic damage. We're not changing anything here. It should be adding +3 to the damage, so I think the spell, because the spellcasting ability, I haven't added that, so I was testing something similar to this on the wizard earlier. All right, now if we go, so you see +3, so because it knows that you're using your spellcasting ability, and that is all set up. So now when if I want to target this zombie and I use a spell slot, there's first level spell or second level spell. So I can choose either or. I have 4 first level, I have 3 second level. If I use the ability, there we go. Now this goes back to the comment I made about applying or implying some of the text, and it should be used as it says here. So first of all, second level, I shot this. If it were to be shot, that it ignores half and 3/4 cover. So of course there would be no cover on this zombie, but if there was half or 3/4 cover, it would be ignored. The other part is that it rolled a 1, and this designer, they set up on the attack roll of this weapon, if they roll a 1 to 5, causes a misfire. So the weapon jams and cannot be used until you spend a bonus action to clear it. So let's set up a bonus action use, and we're going to say clear jam, activation, bonus action, and we don't need to do anything else. We just need it so that when well, actually, let's do identity. Clearing the jam. All right, so let's just put chat flavor there. Then when they do that bonus action, they click here and it says clearing the jam. It's clearly a bonus action. It happens instantaneous. We could remove the 30-foot effect. I guess we could go here and we can remove this. And then change there's no effects, 2 minute required, everything else stays the same. It doesn't show up, but all we did is clear the jam, and that just tells the DM or the other players that that's what you're doing. Again, if they need to know, they can do the drop down, read here, see all the things that they need to know. So that gets rid of that and the second level. Now if I was to cast that as a first level spell, I click first level, normal. Just make sure the damage correct, right? There's damage, it's all correct. But the first level has two save conditions. So we need to create 2 save activities. We're going to create 1. And we're going to call this deafening. Activation, there is no cost to it, it's special. And we could say the activation cost is hit using a first level slot, spell slot. Consumes. It doesn't consume anything. It doesn't have a specific target. I guess it does target a creature, so it targets to one creature. And then its effect is a Constitution saving throw. And if you should be looking at this part here. So Constitution saving throw. It's using a spellcasting ability, so 8 plus the mod plus the proficiency. There's no damage, but then it's applying an effect. It's not applying the True Lens effect. It's applying a deafening effect. So we're going to call it Deafening Shot. This is going to apply the status condition of deafening, or deafened. All right, and the duration, it says it lasts until the end of your next turn. So that means it's going to last for a round and one turn, because you need it to not or count the zombie's turn as one turn, and then a round because you want it to expire right at the end of your turn before the zombie's turn. So one round and one turn. And we're going to submit changes. And then we're going to just duplicate this. We're going to change this to blinding shot. And that should have been called deafening shot. So I'm going to click this real quick. Blinding shot, deafening shot. And then the difference is we don't use this effect. We're going to use a new effect we call blinding shot. All right. And then change that to blinded. The duration should still be 1 and 1. And we're going to submit changes. And there you go. So now you have that. So if I do the first level attack, so let me clear the chat here. We do a first level spell slot attack, first level usability. We make a normal attack roll. It hits the zombie. We say, all right, we're going to make that a blinding shot. We click the blinding shot, save. The zombie then has to make the save. They pass the save, but let's say they fail. We want them to apply the blinding shot to them, and now they have the blinded condition. It will last for one round, one turn, right? That should be how it lasts. But it shows passive right now because we're not in combat. So we're going to actually, let's remove this and let's put these guys in combat quick so that we can see it in action. Okay, so the artificer takes that shot. They hit. They do damage, which would probably doesn't kill a zombie, so we would apply damage, and then we would say, hey, we want blinding shot applied to the zombie. The zombie then would roll the saving throw. They failed, and then they get blinding shot. You will see that it lasts for one round, one turn. So as we go through, we're going to just move through. The zombie had its one round, one turn. Now it's your turn. At the end of your turn, you saw that it removed it from the zombie. So it's gone from the zombie. So one round, one turn. It would do the same if we did deafening shot. So that's set up correctly. So now we just need to set up the third level or higher. So we're going to do another attack. We're going to set this up, and we're going to call this spell shot. Third level plus. We're going to change attack to spell. Make sure that this is range. I changed that even though I don't have to. We're going to, it's an action. It's going to consume spell slots. It's going to consume a third level spell slot. It's going to, and it's going to scale. And it's going to scale a spell slot. So every spell slot above. And then if it was on a this is where I don't know if this is only good for artificers or good for all magic users that might be trained, that might get trained, or for whatever reasons would be trained with proficiency in it. If it was a 9th level spell user, you would want to put max scaling 7. They're only a 3rd level spell user, or 5th level is the highest artificers go. So you'd only want to scale it 3. And you could just make a note that you need to change that depending on the spell caster. All right, so it uses a spell slot, 1 for every level above 3. All right, and then we change this to 1 creature, and then effect, we're going to add additional damage. We go to the additional damage. It does 1d8 every level of force damage. All right, so this should be set up correctly. We're going to go back to the Testificer. They're going to target the Zombie Lord this time. They're going to cast, or they're not going to cast, they're going to use the spell slot. Remember, we're implying that you're doing the bonus action to load the spell slot into the rifle. All right, so we can use ability. So there's 3rd level spell slot, 4th level spell slot, and 5th level spell slot. So let's use a 5th level spell slot to make sure that we take this guy down. We're going to use that ability. You see that it makes an attack roll. The attack roll hits. We're going to roll for damage, and there's the extra 3 dice on top of it because we used a 5th level spell slot. So we now roll. That does 38 points of damage. I'm pretty sure that takes out that Zombie Lord. It does not. The Zombie Lord's still standing. All right, so that's a blast, right? So that's accurate. That's set up, and that's it. That's all you have to do. That's all of the features set up. Again, we're implying that to do this anyways, they're already taking that bonus action to load that. They just need to state that. But if you want to set it up without and actually show that bonus action, you can do that, and it creates kind of a different way of setting up this weapon. I'm going to duplicate this weapon so that I don't mess up that one. And I'm going to change this, and I'm going to leave it as copy for now. And I'm going to edit this item. Go into activities. And everything else is going to stay the same, except for I'm going to create a reload activity. So it's a use activity, and we're going to call it reload, or load. Spell load. There we go. Spell loading. There we go. Spell loading. Okay. Then we're going to go to action time. This is a bonus action, right? It's consumption. It actually has 2 consumptions. One, it's going to consume a spell slot. We're going to allow scaling, and it can consume 1st level and up spell slot, and then it's got 5 levels of scaling, right? Again, we're on an artificer. If this item could be put on another spell cast, if this could be put on another spellcaster, it would be at a higher level. Okay, so you have the spell slots set up. Then we're going to consume, or we're going to reverse the consumption. We're going to change the amount. We're going to say we're going to increase item usage by -1, and the amount is -1, right? And so if you wanted to see that right there, enter a negative amount. But we also then need to go under the description or details, and we need to tell it that it has limited uses. So if it can go up to 5th level spells, we're going to say it's already used all of its 5th level slots, right? So now we have 0 of 5 here. We're setting this up this way, and then effect, everything else, as far as I know, can just stay the same, right? We don't need to change anything. Now, if we do spell loading, we're saying, okay, use a 1st level spot to recover 1 item. Use a 2nd level spot to recover 2 uses. 3rd level for 3 uses. So if I wanted to, and then I go like that. So now I used a 4th level spot to consume 4 uses. The thing is now I go over here, and instead of consuming spell slots on this, we would say consume item uses. And then we would still say scaling the amount is still 1 to a maximum of 2, right? We would do the same here with the 3rd level spell slots. Go under activation, consumption, set of spell slots. We go consume item usage and the amount. All right. The only difference is max scaling 3. I think you would actually say 3 and then 3, 4, 5. This one's kind of a, oh no, wait, this would be, you would scale 1 and then max scaling would be 5. So you do, yeah, I think that would be how you'd set it up. So for instance, you would go this, or you would do that 3rd shot, and then 3 uses of, there's 4 available. If I go up 1 more, 4 uses, and then I go up 5. So I should have just left it to 3. So I go here, leave this to 3. There's 3 scales, 3 levels of scaling. Now, the only difference here that I found when doing it this way is that, okay, so if I'm casting this 3rd level slot and I choose the 2nd scale value, which is 4 uses, that uses all of the consumes all the item uses. But what if I just wanted to use a 3rd slot and I use that ability, I attack as normal, I do the damage and it adds the extra die of damage, but now I still have a part of a spell in there. Do I get to use that in the next turn without having to do the reload and then just fire off a shot, a 1st level slot? So if I click here and then I still have 1 item use, I can't use the 2 because I don't have enough item use. And in my opinion, I would probably add that. Now, again, this is not my item. This was JPEG, or JPEG, or JPG. It's their item. They want to set up how they want, but I would probably set it up this way where I do have the spell loading, and then they, rather than consuming spell slots, they consume the items loaded from the spell loading. And that is setting up this Magi-Rifle from the Reddit user here. Hopefully once I get this all edited down and set up on YouTube, I will post something on their Reddit here that shows that I've made this item, and maybe it'll help them learn how to make items in Foundry. They made a comment that they aren't very good at using some of the coding and macros, but see, there's no macros, there's no coding involved in this. This all could be done right here without having to do anything extra. I guess if you wanted to add, I don't see where coding or macros would ever be needed in this. So cool. Hopefully this will, well, one thing, this will only work, I do believe, on D&D. All of these options, I think, would really only work on the latest version of the D&D 5e system. I think 5.1 at least or higher. Maybe works on, I do know activities came out on in the 4 in D&D system 4.4, which is the latest version on Foundry version 12. This might work in there too. I just haven't used that in such a long time. I wouldn't know. So anyways, I hope you like what I just did. If you did, give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And we'll do something similar to this. I'll continue to find other things that I can build on there. If this is a homebrew item, I might eventually set up my Patreon that allows you to download items like this, because why not? But until then, continue to create, and may all your brews be tasty.